Welcome, Ted. Good to have you here. As we welcome you to New Era TT Radio. As we welcome you all to, our money segment on a Mondays. And of course, it's always good on a Monday when I have my good friend inside. It's even better when I have him on this particular platform. So let me say a very special good morning to Mr. Thomas. Mr. Thomas, good day to you.
A great day to you, Sir Charles. You're lapsing. You're going for good when great is available.
And trust me, and great is always available.
And great is always available. You know my position on this. Never settle for good when great is available. And great is always available. Great to see you this morning, Sir Charles. Great to be back. Congratulations are in order on Net TV. I was just reflecting that you really wanted to be one of the disciples, because Jesus tells the disciples, cast your net.
Yes.
Definitely cast your net. I love it. I absolutely love it. I am honored. I am delighted. I am really happy to be a part of Net. New Era TT. One Net. Aye. Way to go.
So how have you been?
Busy. I cannot say at this time that my net is breaking with the catch, but who knows? I think it is in the offing. It's in the offing. I am very happy to welcome to our platform this morning on this Every Cent Counts on Net.
Yes.
And I thought it was, I don't believe in coincidence, Charles. I don't believe in coincidence. So there's nothing chance about this session this morning. Yeah? When you boil it down, Sir Charles, it comes down to a very basic question. Design or chance? All of the complexities of life flow out of your answer to these two questions. Are we here as a result of some cosmic accident billions of years ago that mysteriously created this thing called life? In which case, you're standing on the side of chance, because you're saying it's some chance collision, some chance accident, some chance something that brought the complexity and the magnificence that is human life into being. Your other choice, of course, is design. And Sir Charles, can you imagine somebody seeing a Minshall costume and say that it happened as a result of some cosmic accident somewhere back in the day? All right. That thing that there's no way. And then when you look at the magnificence of the human being, all right, Sir Charles, there are over 60,000 miles of blood vessels in every human body.
That's a lot of that's plenty to cover,
Well, that goes around the circumference of the world more than twice, because the circumference of the world is about 24,000 miles. So if you say 60,000 miles, then you're going past, you're more than double. All right, the circumference of the earth. And that is the network, Sir Charles. It's a very important word.
Yes.
Network. That is the network of blood vessels that are installed in the human being. And the pathologists have recognized that any part of your body that is not adequately and consistently supplied with blood dies. And the scripture says the life of the flesh is in the blood. But you see, you start me down the road.
I say something to leave you at times,
What time? But I'm saying that there's nothing chance about this. This is a part of a design, of a divine design. Such as you cannot imagine how it helps me to remember that I am not just some chance float, some jetsam on the seas of life, but that I'm here for a purpose, and that everything that happens to me is a part of the design. Yes? So every cent counts, and I started to welcome our guest this morning. I thought it could not be a chance. Look how long we've been trying to get this thing going, Sir Charles. The thing yesterday, right? It's been a while. You have been laboring feverishly to get this platform up and running. And here it is. On the first Monday after Tennille's book was launched, we online. That can't be by chance. All right? So I am welcoming to our radio show this morning, our internet show, Every Cent Counts. I'm welcoming my great friend and sister, Tennille Dana Alonso. Put your hand together and bring her on board.
Great morning. Great morning. Thank you so much, Garth. And congratulations, Sir Charles, on your inaugural show, at least in April, and for having me. I'm so grateful for this opportunity. It's good to see you.
It's good to see you also.
Yes, it's been a while. I do recall in studio being part of Every Cent Counts. This is a few years ago, and it is just an amazing idea to have me back, especially at this very auspicious time where I am launching my first book ever. And I'm really grateful for the opportunity for just to discuss how I believe it's going to have some value, not just to your audience, but hopefully to you as well, sir, as you're going through this new chapter in your life as well.
Thank you, Tennille. And you have identified it. Tennille's presence on our show this morning is because she has just published a book. The name of the book is Aligned for Freedom. Aligned for Freedom. Tremendous concept that she has articulated beautifully. And I thought I should have her on the program this morning because every cent counts. The concept, the idea, the driving principle behind Every Cent Counts title is the power of accumulation. Yes? And when you talk about alignment, you cannot really divorce alignment from accumulation. Accumulation is a system that requires a particular alignment of various things. That the power of accumulation is so powerful. I mean, when you think of the habits that drive your behavior every day, 90% of your behavior every day is driven by habits. And habits are an accumulation of behaviors repeated over and over and over and over again over time. It is a particular alignment, Sir Charles. So let me not try to steal Tennille's thunder, but I would like to welcome her here. And I would like to preface her participation this morning by quoting from a good partner. You know who's my good partner, Sir Charles?
Deepak.
Well, Deepak is one of them. Deepak is one of them. But the other one is Albert Einstein.
Yes.
All right? Albert says, and I quote, "The ordinary objects of human endeavor, property, outward success, luxury, have always seemed to me contemptible." Yes? So I don't know what kind of a platform that gives you, Tennille, but I would like you to share with our audience worldwide, to share with our audience this book. What was in your mind when you engaged the process of bringing this book to the world? What were the concepts?
Well, thank you.
About yourself as well, a little background to you, Tennille, the platform is yours.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for the opportunity. So again, my name is Tennille. I want to say thank you to everyone who is listening. This concept of Aligned for Freedom really came out of a personal experience, personal mission, and also my career and what I do. I believe everything, as Garth mentioned, everything is not by chance. And what we experience in life, it all kind of gives us a perspective when we look at it in its holistic sense, not just by an event or a situation. And I have to share something personal. I turned 40 about 11 months ago. And I was having a conversation with a friend most recently when I was sharing where I am now. And I said, it's really interesting that when I turned 40, I felt like a light bulb went off. And they jokingly responded and said, well, maybe you're going through midlife crisis. And I said, no, I don't think it's midlife crisis. I think it's really an awakening. It's an understanding that there is no time to waste. When you're young, you feel you have all this time, and most times you just go with the flow and you don't have a plan. You're not aligning yourself with a vision, with a mission. And I think given where I've been in terms of my reflection on life for the last few years, looking at the purpose that I know I'm here to serve, I recognize that there is a need to align three important things: our time, our energy, and our money. Because those are the resources. Those are the drivers for much of what we are in possession of and what we can control. Because there are certain things we can't control. We cannot control where we were born, who we were born to, our family dynamics. There are certain things we cannot control. But there are other things, other resources that we have access to that we can manage. And I mean, it is our mission to manage those things. So what really inspired the book really is that personal journey, that personal reflection. But what really landed it for me was the recognition that my own, probable dysfunction in terms of the alignment of these things was not unique. It was something that I recognized in my conversations with others, whether it's my clients, friends, family, you name it. And I felt like this was an opportunity to document what I had to tell myself in that process and as I began the journey of alignment. So it is a short book. And the reason I decided to make it short is because the people that I'm hoping to get this message to are persons who are typically quite busy and they don't have time for a long lecture. They want perhaps that information to hit home. It's a really short but very impactful dissertation on what you can do, practical steps that you can take to truly align your time, your money, and your energy. And that is, and why you want to do that? Because most of us, we have a mission. There are things that we want to see in our lives. We want to bring those things to fruition. And in order for us to do that, we need to be on that journey of alignment that ultimately would lead us to freedom, that sense of accomplishment, self-actualization, recognizing that, hey, I'm not just going with the flow. I'm not just accomplishing the day-to-day responsibilities without any pause and reflection and understanding and vision and mission, etc. All right. So that is what inspired the book. What also I would say inspired the book is what I do on a daily basis. I meet persons and we discuss money. And this show exactly is about money, right? But you also touch on other elements of what impacts our ability to manage this resource, this tangible resource. But I meet with individuals to discuss their money and so on. And many times it's not about the money. Many times it's about so many other things that impact the way in which they decide how to utilize those resources. And so sometimes I find myself coaching, counseling, dealing with other issues that has nothing to do with money. And I recognized as well, especially when I decided to really focus on retirement planning, because, I recognize that there is everything that we're doing, especially when you're younger, is to ensure that when you're older, that you're not regretting the decisions of your youth, right? And so when I came to that recognition that I really wanted my practice to truly be a wake-up call for persons who have the resource of time, have the resource of money, and of course can direct their energy a particular way. I wanted to support them in ensuring that the wonderful retirement experience. Then, I recognized that I needed to also have some text that would support that journey. So all of those are reasons that really impacted me and helped me in putting this together.
Great. Tennille, what did you think about my little quotation? I'll give it to you again because I know you probably weren't familiar with it. My little quotation from Albert Einstein in terms of how it captures the primary obsession of the average individual, which is what your book is speaking to and which your book is seeking to, I don't know if I would say correct or create a perspective that is more workable, that is more fulfilling than the average person. We grow up in a world and we accept certain things that we see around us. We don't question them at all. We just go with them. They say wealth, they say riches, they say the same thing. We don't question that. Big mistake.
Yes.
They say standard of living and quality of life. And they imply that in order for you to have a high quality of life, you must have a high standard of living. We don't question that. We go down the road. They tell us that, we need to get an education, and that the thing that testifies that you are educated is a piece of paper that you could frame and put on a wall, whether it's with an A-level or with a bachelor's degree or a master's degree or a PhD. They tell us these things so that we live our lives on the basis of these things without questioning. And I feel that's a big mistake. And I think one of the reasons why I've responded to your book in the way that I have is because it puts its finger on the problem. It puts its finger squarely on the problem. And then people wonder why their life is why they're so unhappy, so unfulfilled as they live their life. So, the issues of purpose, which your book immediately projects, because anytime you say alignment, you have to say alignment to something as against the something else. And that alignment, I think, speaks to purpose. So here we have one of the most brilliant people who ever walked the planet making a statement that the ordinary objects, and I quote, the ordinary objects of human endeavor, property, acquisition of property, outward success, the car, the nice house, all of the fame and fortune and so on, and luxury have always seemed, all of these things, human endeavor, the ordinary objects of human endeavor, property, outward success, and luxury, have always seemed to me contemptible. Oh, wow. I'm a big fan of Albert Einstein. And it is only very recently I came across this quotation from him. And I find it is so bang on. What do you think?
Well, certainly, there was a video I watched recently that reminded us that, that God set eternity in our hearts, right? So that therefore we're not created to just look at the tangibles. So certainly the perspective of looking at just the tangibles as a definition of who you are and what you're here to do is by far not adequate. And if you speak to anyone who may be in that situation where they have what people may say, they have everything together and they have all of these riches or outward appearance of success, they would tell you that that does not define their happiness. And therefore, it bequeaths us who may not be where they are to really look at the fundamentals that really is important. Where are our values? Where is our energy being directed so that we can achieve something bigger than ourselves? And I think, even with respect to looking at my own life, and even I'm sure you have your own experience, you look at all the things that we have been taught to pursue. And most of us may have had some success in pursuing those things, but then we realize that as we got to that level, it's like, okay, why is this not satisfying? Why is this not sustaining? and then you continue to reach for something else because you feel, okay, well, if I get that, well, then I would be fully there. And you recognize that no, it's not. And the other thing is, the question then becomes, where do we search? Should our search be directed? and how do we create the space to have that alignment? And this is what my book really speaks to. It doesn't give you all the nitty-gritty of what you should do, but it's saying, here's what. If you're feeling somewhat empty or you're not feeling that level of fulfillment, then you need to step back, because what happens is that we get so busy that we just keep doing. We're not really aligning ourselves. And because of that, we don't have a sense of purpose and peace with even the things that we're doing, but also we're not really able to dissect whether or not we're wasting energy, wasting time, wasting money. Right. And so there is that responsibility for us to be good stewards of these resources. And that stewardship should be directed to a purpose and a mission. So, for example, one of the areas I talk about in the book as a practical element is looking at even your use of digital media and creating boundaries there, because what we recognize is that people tend to be always on their phone, always looking at something, as opposed to taking some time away to step back and really reflect on what are they what am I doing? Where am I going? What are my long-term goals, my values, etc.? How am I aligning, not just in terms of my desires, but my actions? How are my actions aligning with my desires? And so these are some things that we have to be mindful of, because the busyness, the enemy, I think, to that alignment. And it's really about taking the time out to truly be in that place of reflection, but also activity that would really give you the results that you want. So those three areas I focus on in the book. I've created part one really focuses on aligning yourself for your general life. And then part two, I look at financial alignment, because it's what I do. And I give persons some tools as to how they can really look at their finances and align it accordingly as well.
Okay.
Part three,
Yeah.
only two parts to the book. There are a number of chapters, but there are only two parts to the book. And as I mean, this is just the first one. I have an entire series that I'll be publishing over the next 2 years. I've already planned out those books. But this first book, A Line for Freedom, really is a call to action. It's a bold call to action. Anyone who reads the first 2 chapters, there is something that pulls on you emotionally, because when I wrote it, I was feeling all of those emotions. And it really just identifies where we are and the dire state of where we tend to be when we're just literally, as I said, going with the flow, just trying to, a means to an end, just doing. But there is no real sense. What is this creating? Where would I be 10, 15, 20, 30 years from now if I continue along this path? And it's really just getting to that level, internal reflection and awareness, and saying, here's what I need to do something differently.
Great. Now, differentiation is a key element in art and in life. So here you have this book. What would you say are the significant differentiating elements of this book vis-a-vis any other book in this particular space? Because, there's a lot of stuff in the space that you're occupying.
Yes. One of the things I think is really different with this book is its length. As you can see, I have a library of books. There are books on that other side as well. I have a library of books. I go to bookstores and I pick up a book that speaks to me. I would go through tons of books and be like, oh yes, I need to read this book. And I'll come home and I'll start the first few chapters, and then I get into life. And I might find myself taking months, if not ever, finishing a book that I really wanted to finish. So in this book, it's quite consumable, and it was done so deliberately. So if you purchase the Kindle version, you can literally finish that book in half an hour. But what I like about this book is you can consume it quickly, but you can go back to certain chapters to remind yourself to really touch base with that emotional place that will keep you motivated. So it's written in a way that it's nuggets, it's impactful, it's rich, but you can consume it in a consistent way if you want to, if you just want to go back to it. I also have a journal that's a companion to the book that you can buy separately that helps you to literally build out your vision and your reflection elements as per the encouragement of the book. So that's an option that persons have as well. So the book it's really about consuming it in a way that you can feel good that here's what I really wanted this piece of encouragement, and I also wanted to get some practical tools, but I want to know that I've finished it.
I can identify with that, Tanil. You know why? Because I'm trying to remember the title of the book. The book was written by, I think it was Warren Buffett's daughter-in-law. And I got on a plane. I had the book. I bought the book. Couldn't get to reading it. I decided to take it with me on a flight. I think I was going to the States somewhere. Take it with me on the flight. And I started to read the book as the plane took off. And by the time the plane landed, I had finished the book. And I mean, that was so amazing. And I remember that there was, I think, a 3-page chapter. Girl, when I see chapter end already, I say, ooh. So I think that size of the book, I don't know if you have 3-page chapters, but
3-page chapters. I mean, if you buy the Kindle version, it's going to go really quickly, but the paperback, there are just left little spaces in certain areas for you to write and so on. But essentially, it is a very consumable book. We think about a 5-course meal, you're going to be over, like engorged versus maybe, just a 2-course meal that is in small bite-sized pieces that you can really consume and digest. That is what this book is about, but it's also very emotionally engaging. What I wanted to do was to paint that picture, particularly in the first 2 chapters, about where you are, what is happening, the realities, particularly for persons who, you are in your mid-career, you have young children or you have aging parents, you're involved in community and you're just going, especially you could just imagine the amount of overwhelm that we typically deal with on a daily basis and how it is impacting us, because when we cool down at some point, and we look back, most of us may be very regretful because we would have just yes, we would have achieved some things, but we would have recognized that, oh, I wish I took some time to really stop and make use of my time a little. If I tweaked it just a little bit in this direction or that direction, maybe it would have been different. And to be really practical about it, one of the areas, and as I said, I mentioned retirement, I used that as an example in the book, particularly in chapter where I spoke about strategy and finding a strategy for your life. And I used the angle of, okay, so let's say you wanted to retire well, and your strategy is to align yourself in a way that will give you that landing point in a particular way. Then you are in a position to make some decisions, literally, about my time, about my money, about my energy, that would allow you to align those things towards that particular goal. And therefore, for persons who are, let's say, in their 30s, you want that to be the case, you will make some good decisions about how you earn, right? Because I talk about, the financial alignments. And of course, if you're looking at how you earn, you would be looking at how do I utilize my time, right? Is it that I have to learn new skills? Instead of watching Netflix, for the entire weekend, do I do I go and engage with a group, learn some skills, meet people, learn something different? You know what I mean? So you literally are intentional with all of the resources that you have when you have a specific strategy, and really defining what that is up to the individual. I just give little segments of or little nuggets of things that persons can think about as well.
Great, great. So, Tanil, we are going to be running out of time shortly.
Mhm.
The book is available, you say, on how can somebody put their hands on this book?
All right. So the book is called Aligned for Freedom: Practical Steps to Align Your Time, Your Money, and Your Energy. If you go on Amazon and you type in Aligned for Freedom, you should find it. Of course, my name is Tanil Alonso. We would see everything there. Also, I have a very short link that I created. It's if persons are writing, you can type in bit.ly/aligned book, and that should take you straight to the Amazon site. Alternatively, you can also go to my links where you will see everything that I do. You have access to my website. I have some additional tools that you persons can also utilize. And of course, there's the podcast, Retire Smart, the Uninitiated Guide, which you can access on YouTube as well. So you can type in Retire Smart, the Uninitiated Guide, and that will give you access to those list of those videos, which I think are quite helpful as well. Persons who may be looking at planning for retirement and some of the issues that they tend to face when they look at, am I going to retire well? You know, am I doing enough? Questions that I get when persons are literally like 2 years, 1 year away from retirement, and you ask yourself, okay, didn't you get the support? And really what my intention is with all of what I'm doing is to really help one, change mindsets, because that's the key. And I know that this is what this show is about. It's about changing mindsets and educating persons. Unfortunately,
Our little bandwidth problems there. I don't know. Tennille is a little.
having access to,
All right, okay.
yeah, by having access to the podcast, by having access to the book, I'm hoping that I can assist in that goal of changing mindsets. Right. So that is what I would love for persons to access. If you can go on to Linktree, you can search this in Google, Linktree, Tennille Alonso. You should be able to find.
That is link TRWE.
Yes, you can put
Linktree.
Linktree and Tennille Alonso. Now, my name is spelled TENNILLE Alonso with a Z. So if you type that in Google search, you should be able to find my resource hub. I'm not sure if there's any other way for us to have this information for Sir Charles guests. If they have access to, let's say, a YouTube channel or something, I can send him the links so that he can also post it so persons can have it available. Alternatively, persons can call me as well on my office line. That's 624-7526. And that's 664, my apologies, 664 PLAN. That's PLAN, 664-7526. And they can get a call. I could also redirect them to all the relevant links accordingly.
I see your email address at the bottom of the frame.
It is really just at your goals, your plans. Yes, so that is my brand. I can send you, let me just type in here my link tree so that Mr. Sir Charles can have it.
Okay.
Right. So that's
Okay.
yes. So it's linktr.ee/Tennille Alonso.
Excellent.
And that link has the resources. You will have access to even my new system, which I call the Retire Smart Essentials Toolkit. And that would allow persons to, if you're planning for retirement, to really do an assessment of where you are. There's also a visioning workbook where you get the opportunity to really vision where you want to be and really break down what you need to do, the gap want or need to do in order to retire in a way that, of course, you would envision for yourself. So
Yes,
it
right.
is all available on that resource hub.
All right. So Tennille, I'm just standing here for a moment so that our viewers can see I don't know if it's showing. I'm not showing on my screen. I'm wearing a t-shirt, a polo. You seeing it? It's not showing.
I am not seeing it, no, because you have
Yeah. But I don't believe in coincidence because I have been doing a lot of work on a retirement planning master's class. It is my retirement planning master's class entitled You Are 100. Sorry, I am 100 and priceless. So are you.
Yeah.
And just with your program, the intent is to help people to change the whole that retirement plan, of course, is about changing your mindset as to what retirement is, but more so of changing your mindset as to who you are. And you see, one of the things that attracted me to Einstein's statement is his perception that our normal endeavors of trying to acquire assets, property, to have all the trappings of outward success, which you have talked about, and most of all, to go for luxury, you know, luxury is the ultimate in comfort. And you know, and most people know, but choose not to pay attention to it, that the comfort zone is a bad place to climb. The comfort zone is a place where you retire for a short time to recuperate, to recharge your batteries and so on. But you're not supposed to live in the comfort zone.
Yeah.
And that is one of the things I tell you that people do not pay attention to. People, the society we live in, the socio-economic frame of capitalism suggests, implies, bombards your mind with the idea that luxury is where it's at. And if there was ever was a lie, that is a lie. Because luxury is a place of extreme comfort, and comfort, no learning takes place in the comfort zone. It's a place for quick respite, to recharge, to get back into working, because work is where it's at, Sir. I mean,
it is, and anything that you want to get to, any place that you want to get to, even getting out of the fog of just going on that merry-go-round or that hamster's wheel of life. If you want to get off, it's going to be uncomfortable. You literally just have to push past that pain to that discomfort. And I am living proof of this, because just doing this book, putting myself out there with the podcast, and I have to acknowledge a few people, if you don't mind. One, of course, I want to say thanks to you, because you've always been a mentor and a coach to me in my journey. Even me getting into this career was in large part due to your encouragement. And so I want to really thank you for that, because in finding this career, I found my purpose. And I will discuss that a lot more in time, but I really want to thank you. I want to thank, of course, one particular client that I met recently. Her name is Yvette. I wouldn't dox her by giving her full name, but I want to be thanks to her, because she would have forced me to realize I needed to do something for persons like her. Was, a lot more tangible and supportive. And while I was thinking about doing it for months and months ago, I literally decided to step out of my quote unquote wishing box, because of the interaction that I had with her. And I really want to thank her. I want to thank, of course, my family. I really do have some amazing brothers and sisters. My brothers and sister, my one sister, and my parents, of course. But God, most importantly, because I must say, in my alignment journey, that was paramount. Getting back into that, that space of recognizing that here's what he is, the author and finisher. He created this instrument, that's me, and I needed to get to the manual to understand what my purpose was and how I needed to operate. So I really want to thank God for that journey that he has been taking me through for the last few months into the last year, especially as I turned 40. Oh my God. So guys, if you're turning any new decade or new leaf, please be proud, because it really is an achievement to grow old. It is an achievement, and I really thank God for that. So yes, Garth, you're right. Anything that is change will take work. It will take discomfort, but it's worth it. It is worth it.
And there's always a need for us to reassess assumptions that we have operated on blindly for most of our lives. I have a picture of a bodybuilder. I'll show it on the show sometime. When I do live lectures, which I do a lot of for our central bank and for other private companies and so on, in this area of retirement planning and financial planning as well, I like to show this picture of this bodybuilder. And then I tell my audience, every muscle you are seeing on this bodybuilder, I have one. But if I were to take off my shirt, it wouldn't look the same. It wouldn't look the same at all. And the only reason why he looks that way is because he has a program of work. He works out, not haphazardly, a structured program of work that enables his muscles to develop. My goodness, Tinny, if we can only understand that every one of us possesses at this moment everything we need to excel at whatever we choose to do. We have it. What is required is alignment. What is is an understanding of what life is and how we can.
Yeah, we having a little internet issues where you are. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of scientific. But that's all right,
Right.
because we are at that point in time where we have to look the wrap on the
Right.
session. So
Okay.
go ahead.
So I want to thank Tanil for taking the time to be with us this morning. I want to thank her for her book. I want to encourage all our listeners to get the book. All right. Remember, the title is Aligned for Freedom. Aligned for Freedom. You want to make sure that you are properly aligned. And if you go online, if you Google it, you can find the book, you can find the other resources that Tanil has spoken about, which you'll find extremely useful. And we can keep on our pathway because every cent counts. And once we understand that money is below us, not on top of us, we can manage it. Sir Charles.
So true, so true. Well, thank you very much. Let me thank Tinil. Tinil, it's been nice seeing you again.
Yes, it was nice seeing you again, Sir Charles.
For all the best with your book. I know it's going to do fantastic. And you're right. You can send me the link also, so I make sure I do what I can to help out with it, right?
No problem. Thank you. Have an awesome day. Thank you so much,
So
everyone.
Thomas, it's been nice talking with you today on the platform.
Yes.
So we'll chat again next Monday, God's willing.
Next Monday, every cent counts.
Nicely. All right, people, this has been Every Cent Counts right here on New Era TT Radio. Garth Thomas joins us on a Monday. It's a real pleasure to have Garth on the stage, all right? All right, so we have our news coming up in 12 minutes' time, so I want you to stick around for that. And of course, remember, a little later on inside of your drive time, look out for Tony Fraser between 4 and 6 p.m. He's talking with Roman Catholic Archbishop St. Gordon. They're also talking books, and they're talking carnival books. Yeah. So look out for it, right? So stick around, and I'll catch you as we go through the day.
I know that money